Hi, I'm Faraz Khan from iTrack Recruitment, and welcome to the Low Code Podcast, where we're dedicated to increasing awareness and appreciation of the power of low code. In this podcast, we'll hear from developers about their career journeys and how low code has enabled them to achieve new levels of success and innovation. So let's go. Hi, Enea, how are you?
Hi, Feroz. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to take part in the
Thanks.
podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I mentioned to you before, you're our first Power Platform guest. So, a lot of pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah, but it's always the first. So yeah,
Yeah, no, no,
let's
no,
let's see if I can impress or I can convince.
yeah, and I appreciate you kind of, putting your hand up and being willing to take part. So it'd be good to kind of, to start with you giving a bit of background about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Enea, and I am 32 years of age. I was born in Tirana, Albania. Maybe someone from the audience knows the country.
Yeah.
And I used to live in Greece for 11 years and then moved to Germany in 2010, where I also studied computer science. Yeah, now I'm married, have a daughter, live in Cologne, everything perfect. And
And
yeah, how I got to the Power Platform, maybe a little bit.
yes.
So I used to work for a company which was more into the whole unified communications topic. So Microsoft Teams, kind of business on. So I was already in the Microsoft domain, and they had like a couple of bottlenecks and processes that were very slow and very manual. And yeah, I was tasked to find a solution how to make that better. And that was like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So the Power Platform was already there, and I just explored it, and found out that we have already the licenses. Why not use it? And yeah, but I will explain a little bit more later on.
So just going back into, obviously you've born in Albania, moved to Greece, moved to Germany. Obviously you moved to Greece when you were young, right? You were a child.
Yes, I was like 2 years old, so I moved with my parents, of course.
Yeah. And Germany, was that your own decision?
That was my own decision. 2010, I don't know, I was, I think, 19 back then.
Okay.
And I wanted to go study abroad, and so Germany was one of the.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. Out of kind of all of Europe, why was Germany kind of, what sold you on Germany to move to Germany?
Well, actually, to be honest, was just the tuition fees, because I was looking forward to go to the US, and I also applied, to be honest, in Connecticut, and the tuition fees were just extremely high. And the same also with UK. I also applied in UK. So the places where I could speak the language, English, were just too expensive. And so I was looking for like the next best place to be where I could afford it. And then Germany was offering great universities with very, very few tuition fees, almost nothing. And the only downside was that I had to learn the language, which turned out to be a good thing, because no one speaks German. Is nothing. It has also good parts.
I think it's great to kind of, obviously it's a challenge. It's a big enough challenge to relocate somewhere. And in general, just relocating is difficult. So then relocating and then having to learn a language, I can imagine is quite a bit of a challenge. So it's cool that you persevered that and got through it, and you can speak the language. And you're based in Cologne? Did you move straight to Cologne, or
no? I moved first to Hanover, which is in the north of Germany, and I started doing a language course there. And then I moved to another city, and then to another city, and then after 3-4 cities, I decided to stay in Cologne. I mean, all of the cities were nice, but Cologne was like because it's a bigger city, more opportunities and so on. The other city was a little bit smaller, and I wanted like somewhere where I have a little bit more opportunities.
Sure.
And nowadays you don't think anymore about that because work from home, you know, and so on and so forth doesn't matter. But a couple of years ago was it was a
big deal.
It was a part of the decision, right?
Yeah, of course. And after your graduation, what was your kind of first role outside of university?
Yeah, I graduated while I was working, so it was like a part-time work and study. So which I chose because I started full-time studying, and then I moved to a part-time because I was more looking forward to the practical experience as well. And not just theories. And so I was in that role, that UC role, as a consultant and working with automation tasks and so on. And when I finished, I just continued on that role, just then full time. And in 2021, I moved then to my current role.
Okay, cool. And when were you kind of, so you're working with Power Platform. When were you kind of first exposed to was that when you were kind of doing that research, was that the first time you came across low code, or you'd heard of it before?
No, that was actually the first time I came across low code.
Okay.
Because until then I was doing more of I was more on the field. So I was at customers doing like user adoption, talking with customers and so on and so forth. So I did not have that much contact with developing programs and so on. And then when I was tasked with that, when that task was given to me, I started searching, and the company was already invested as a Microsoft partner, of course, in the Microsoft licenses. And I saw that we already had all of them. We had, I think all of us had E5s, which is the highest license bundle with Power BI and everything in it.
Yes.
And then I was thinking like, okay, we have all these tools. We don't need to pay anything extra. So let's see how we can use them. And that's where I started experimenting and doing small stuff. And then it got even bigger, got even more connected with each other. And it became even business critical for the company.
Yeah, cool. And just for those who haven't come across Power Platform, it'd be good for you to kind of give us a bit of an overview of Power Platform, the things within it.
I keep forgetting that there are people out there who don't know.
Exactly.
So the Power Platform is one of the many suites that Microsoft offers in their agenda, and it's all about automation, app building, reporting based on the low code concept. So if you're familiar with tools from Microsoft like PowerPoint and so on, where you can like drag and drop stuff in a canvas, the whole Power Platform is built upon that idea. So you have like a canvas for app development, a canvas for reporting, a canvas for automation, and then you drag and drop bits of code or bits of logic or components in a canvas, and then you build the logic between them. So what they should do with each other, how they can interact, or the workflows and so on and so forth. So that's the whole high level idea of the Power Platform. And the components, there are many components in the Power Platform. We have Power Apps. And you can see it here.
Purple.
Power Apps is for app building, as the name says, and it's also split then into two different applications types. We have the Canvas apps, which is more pixel perfect, and also the model-driven apps, which is more for handling larger amount of data. Not that beautiful, but it's for like a back office or finance or sales and so on and so forth. The Canvas apps is more for the end user, maybe a field of a worker and so on and so forth, where they have it like on a mobile phone or a tablet and so on. Then we have next to it the Power Automate tool, which is for, as it says, Power Automation, automating processes and approval workflows and so on and so forth. It used to be called Flow. Now it's called Power Automate, so it fits a little bit better into the all Power family. And but the automations themselves are still called flows. So we build the flow with Power Automate. Then we have Power BI. I think Power BI is one of the oldest tools in the Power Platform, which is for reporting. And you can connect to almost any data source of that you can imagine. And you can then just pull the data into the report. You can transform the data in there. You can build relationships. You can create, of course, then also the visualizations. And the Power BI is the only tool which is free. So Power BI Desktop is for free. So you can connect any data you want, as long as you have the licenses for the source, of course, and then do all the visualizations, everything on Power BI Desktop for free. So which is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
But as soon as you want to share it with someone, you have then to publish it to the Power BI service, which then requires a Power BI Pro license or premium capacity, which is then the whole license topic. No? So yeah, that's the Power BI application. Then we have the Power Virtual Agents, which is for building chatbots. No? We know chatbots on all the web browsers and so on for support. Something similar you can do with that. And you can put it in a Teams channel or in SharePoint or in a web page, wherever you want. No? So the user can interact with that. And last but not least, we have also the Power Pages. Power Pages is used to be part of the Power Apps, as it was called Portals. Now they created a completely new, or not new, but a separate tool, and it's all about building web pages. So with the low-code concept. Yeah, and that is the Power Platform family. And the coolest part is that you can you can integrate everything with each other. So you can have like a Power App canvas inside a Power BI report, which is something new, because reporting is for visualizing data, so just viewing. But now you have the power of inputting data inside your report, so it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's what makes the Power Platform, I think, stand out.
And when you kind of did this research, this was in, did you say 2021?
2021 is when I moved to my current role.
Okay.
To this company. So my previous role was I don't know, before that. I don't remember the year. Yeah,
that's the end, and that's when you were first. So then, when you kind of started working with it, were you kind of convinced that this is the kind of direction you want to continue going forward?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, the first steps were SharePoint. So I tried to experiment with SharePoint as a data source, because I didn't even know Dataverse. I think it was called a Common Data Service back then. And I was experimenting with SharePoint, and I introduced SharePoint as a data source, because the company was managing the projects. It was a PMO automation project that introduced me to the Power Platform. He was managing the projects using PowerPoint, and that was not centralized, a lot of manual work and so on and so forth. So we was searching for another data source. So we went SharePoint, and then in SharePoint, you could, if you Google, you saw a lot of use cases where people were trying to do something with Power Apps and Power Automate. So that was what's that? So I was just searching. I saw like videos or blog posts where they were automating SharePoint list items for moving from A to B, or maybe changes inside. That was like, okay, awesome. That's something that I need. So I was experimenting on that, and that's how I started. So then after working for the last over a year in that current role with the Power Platform, I was convinced that I want to do it full-time, not only full-time, but also not for internal purposes, because my previous role, I was doing that full-time for the last year, but it was only for the internal processes. So I wanted to go outside and go work with customers, and so that's why I moved into this role.
Cool. And you obviously, you're a YouTube creator. You started your own channel in 2021. What kind of led you to that kind of process of thinking, okay, I'm gonna start, because I think a lot of people may think of it, but a lot of people may not have the confidence to do it, or just don't like being in front of a camera. What was your kind of thought process of, okay, I want to do this?
Yeah, well, the main reason was because I was very impressed of this whole Power Platform community energy that was being transmitted on the channels, on the blogs of the people, and how the people were reacting and so on. Like it was like giving fire the first time to the humanity. Like people were mind blown. Whatever we are overwhelmed with what we can do with it now.
Yeah, of course.
So no, exaggerated, but that's how it felt. And I also want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that, giving people the help they need and helping them. Although I was not an expert myself, but I thought, okay, if I found a solution of something and it works, why not share it?
Yeah, of course.
So that was one of the biggest reason. And the next reason was, if I remember, it was COVID-19 and I was at home. I had nothing else to do. So started doing a YouTube channel and learning how to edit videos.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. And, you know, going back to kind of the Power Platform and the low-code aspect of things, you know, a lot of obviously low-code tools sell the thing on citizen development. So how do you think with Power Platform, is that something that still applies? You think, you know, that it's very easy for your kind of standard junior person to kind of pick it up, or are you of the thinking that you need to have a deep understanding of this?
I think it's not that easy. Microsoft is trying to sell it as that easy. I don't think that it's that easy for people who don't have any idea of how IT or maybe at least web services work. I think you need some knowledge on those topics, because when you work, for example, with Power Apps or with Power Automate, which are web services at the end of the day, right? There is this, everything is on a browser. So what they do is they just send HTTP requests from right to left, and you get a lot of errors, and then you don't understand why it's not working. So all you get is, in most cases, just a response with an error code and maybe saying like bad request and so on and so forth. So that's where most of the people then give up, right? Because you need some basic knowledge on those topics so that you know how to troubleshoot them and to come further. Also, the whole AI idea, which now Microsoft is presenting, the Copilot and so on and so forth, is trying to bridge this gap. You know? So where a normal citizen developer with no knowledge at all has a blocker and they cannot go continue, the AI should jump in and help.
Sure.
So maybe with AI it will become easier, but I don't think that we experience that in our daily jobs a lot, that people try in companies to build something, but they stop very, very fast because that extends their knowledge.
And how do you find kind of, you obviously you wanted to move to a role where you're kind of delivering things for clients. How did you find that transition? And obviously you're still there, so you must enjoy it.
How
did you find that? How did you find that kind of, obviously, because I think working internally to delivering for clients is a
whole different world.
Yeah,
definitely. It was a bit scary in the beginning because, as you said, dealing internally, worst case, my manager or my colleague is mad because I didn't finish it on time. But dealing with customers who pay a lot of money for that is a whole different topic. So I treated it with respect. I took the time to learn a lot, also on my free time. And now I think I'm in a position where I have much more self-confidence and I can deliver much better solutions. But at the beginning was a bit scary.
And but is there any kind of
you need to invest the time. You need to invest the time to learn more. You need to know more than at least more than the customer knows.
Obviously you're the one advising them, aren't you?
Exactly.
And is there any kind of interesting projects you can talk about that that would be kind of really cool to listen and hear about?
So one of the projects that stood out in my career was obviously the first project, which also introduced me to the low-code world. So I can explain a little bit more about that. So the company was about the PMO automation project, and the company was using PowerPoint to maintain and to manage all the projects and across the consulting part of the company. And so what they were doing is each project manager or each project had its own slide, where the project manager then had to go into that slide and update next steps, issues, and so on and so forth, and what's happening with the project. And then they were presenting this every week in a weekly call. And the issues were that they had a lot of time. They were expected to spend a lot of time maintaining that. And also the PMO manager was then expected to somehow consolidate that data and do like a PowerPoint reporting again, which is very, very time consuming. Also on top, the part that it's not centralized, everyone had a copy of that thing and so on and so forth. So it was a mess. And I was, as I said, I tried to bring all the data into SharePoint and then created a small, simple Power App for the users to enter the data and a little bit of automation backend. So, for example, when a new project was introduced, the user created like the project in the app, and then an automation would then go on and based on the input of the user would create, for example, in a separate list which had a relationship with the main list, like the milestones and so on and so forth, all the information that was needed. So almost half of the work was done automatically then immediately. And then also the whole work that the PMO manager had to do, the whole reporting, was also gone, because then I introduced Power BI where all the data was just live there. So everybody could just go anytime. And I mean, it was a great success. And it was also for me, my first successful project on that Power Platform domain. And as I said before, it even became business critical later, because they were depending on that solution. So that was the first one, and the one that I will always remember. And I even wrote about it on one of my work thesis back then.
Cool.
University. So it was also very good.
That's really cool.
And I also want to mention another one.
Sure, go for it.
It was last year, I think we finished that, or I finished that. It was a Power BI project where a customer wanted to create a reporting for all their car dealerships. So they have like many car dealerships across the country, and those dealerships have also services like for repair and so on, and not only for selling cars but also for repairing cars. And so there are like managers there, they are like salespeople, technicians, and so on and so forth. And all that information about how many cars they sell, how many cars they have, what types of repairs, how much time each technician spends for what repairs, and so on and so forth. A huge amount of data. They want to have it like somewhere where they can overview it, like a reporting. And work that we brought all that data into Power BI, and where, for example, the manager can log in and they see the data for all the car dealerships. A salesperson, based on their location, sees only the sales for that dealership, and so on and so forth, which was a really amazing solution at the end. That was one of my favorite
really interesting
projects.
And in the time you've been working with the Power Platform, obviously because it kind of comes under the low code umbrella, have you kind of ever looked at other low code platforms to compare?
To be honest, no. I haven't had the interest, to be honest. Sorry for that ignorance.
You're well invested in
I'm
Power
like
Platform,
full-time Power Platform. So I've heard of Mendix and so on. I know the names, but I hadn't had the time to invest. Like, okay, let's see how that works. And
obviously Power Apps gets mentioned a lot in the same kind of line of Mendix OutSystems and that. And what's your view on kind of do you think they're all kind of in a level playing field, and they all can offer the same solution?
I'm not very sure. I don't know if I can answer that question, to be honest. But I think that, as I said before, where the Power Platform stands out is that whole integration topic, because it's already in the Microsoft ecosystem. And if you are already invested in the Microsoft ecosystem with Office 365, for example, and you want to do something with low code, in my opinion, it will make more sense to go with Power Platform, because then you can embed all of that stuff into your Office 365 tools. For example, you have a Power BI report and you use PowerPoint. you can embed a live Power BI report into PowerPoint. You cannot do that with other tools. So
yeah, sure. Yeah,
it's just this convenience that you have then. Huh?
Yeah. And what we find with other low code platforms, and I'm keen to hear your view on it, because there's a thing of, obviously, people have a worry that there won't be enough opportunities, and customers always struggling to find consultants and people to is that a challenge that comes across in Power Platform as well, where there's less people going towards, or is it quite a big market and easier for people to take on?
So you mean to find for us to find customers, or for us
for more candidates, for colleagues? Yeah, so
colleagues,
like you came from a different background. Obviously, you worked with the tool and you loved it, right?
Yeah.
But there's always a challenge of maybe convincing people from more kind of your traditional background to bring over. So do you see that as a similar challenge within Power Platform as well, just like the other low code platforms?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the main reasons why companies use low code platforms is because they don't have the capacities to develop also with the normal code. So what we say is, okay, let's go low code, because then we need much fewer people. But there is now such a huge amount of requests in the low code domain that we're having the same problems. We don't have people to cover all those requests and issues. So I mean, we have colleagues who have transitioned from completely different areas. They came from like hotel, working as a manager in a hotel, or so on. So now they experimented in their previous work with low code, and now they applied for a full-time low code job. So we have 2 or 3 colleagues like that, and which I'm happy about, because they that these people love what they're doing now. Otherwise they wouldn't do such a transition. And I'm hoping that we can convince also other people to move to IT and low code. But we also struggling to find also good people, because
And how long was the process for those people who come from them backgrounds and then do the training? How long does it take someone like that to kind of? It's difficult because every individual
is different,
But average kind of, what would you say is kind of for them to understand the basics of the platform?
I mean, when they started, we said that it will take longer. Let's say like that.
Okay.
It happened much faster than expected, because as I said, when you love the tool and you are curious, you spend also the time to learn new stuff, and then you get better faster. So but let's say like half a year, and they were like in a position where they can take over small automations or small applications for customer solutions, of course.
And in regards to, obviously, you've been working with it for a while now, and low code, I think I do still think there's people out there who don't know much about low code, even though they're in the IT field, and there are obviously some who do but don't really look into it. What's your kind of view on how you see the future of low code? Obviously AI is being mentioned a lot. What's your kind of views on that?
As you said, AI is the buzzword of the year.
Yes, definitely.
So,
definitely.
I think the future of low code will be okay. Let's start from scratch. So I think the low code developers now are being a little bit overwhelmed with all those features that are coming out. It's hard to keep up. So I don't think that there will be any more generalists. So not one people can know all the whole Power Platform. You will not have like a Power Platform developer anymore. You will have like specialized. No? You will be a Power BI developer, Power Apps, Power Automate, because all these tools are now. If you see back 2 or 3 years ago, it was like a high level you could for everything, and now they're going deeper and deeper,
really deep into it.
You will have to somehow choose a pathway, right? And that's point number 1. And point number 2 is the whole AI topic. So the Power BI or Power Platform developers in general will have to learn how to cooperate and how to work with AI, because that's something that's going to stay. And that's nothing like strange.
Of course,
And that's going
it's
to
not
stay.
going away, that's for sure.
Exactly. And I think that we will have to learn how to work with it so that we can deliver the expectations that the customers will have after getting to know how and what AI provides, because the expectation will rise. They will also see, okay, with AI we can achieve much more, and we want that now. Now we want this next level solutions. So for us, we will have to learn how to work with AI and to deliver those expectations.
And going off your answer, I'll put you on the spot and say, if you had to pick one of the platforms to go down, which one would be your choice and why?
Yeah, at the moment, to be honest, I am already invested more in the Power BI domain. So I'm more into the data analytics tools.
Yeah.
And that's almost, let's say 90% of my projects at the moment. But I still keep an eye on Power Automate and Power Apps, because they are just too damn fun to work with. So sometimes when I hear like a project, like a small one, because I don't have the time, Power Automate or Power Apps, I say, give it to me. I need like
cool.
change.
So you still like to kind of dip your toes in and make sure
Definitely,
you kind of okay, cool. And going to your obviously you've got the YouTube channel. It'd be good to kind of just to tell us kind of the type of content you post for people to know what you're posting on there, what's the reason to follow you, what things are kind of coming out.
So when I started the Power Platform YouTube channel, I was inspired by other YouTube channels, of course, and posters. So when I started, like everyone else, like Shane Young and so on and so forth. But if you see Shane Young or Guy in the Cube, they are invested into that single pathway, with sometimes they dip their toes in other topics. So Shane Young is more into Power Apps. You have Guy in the Cube, which is more into Power BI and so on and so forth. So I don't have the expertise and I'm not that awesome as those guys. So I said, okay, I will not go that deep into one of them. I will stay like on another level where I say, okay, I work every day with a Power Platform. I do like Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI solutions. I struggle sometimes to find a solution. I Google as well as many others. And I find like bits of my solution in 10 different websites or videos. So I assume that also other people who stumble upon the same issue will have to find that solution also on 10 different pages. So what I do is I consolidate those and then do like a video of a small solution on that topic. So that's what I do. And so it works well. Many people like it and subscribe. I think there are many people also, the comments are a lot, who say that they love what I'm doing. And so that's the reason to follow me if you want to find like a solution for a use case.
I think it's great that obviously your intention of doing it is that obviously you've had to do all this research to find something.
Exactly.
Let's save someone else from doing it. Let me share my knowledge, which is obviously it's great to post content and stuff like that, but obviously it's still also you trying to help your community grow and kind of and I guess that's why you get the comments and people kind of appreciating what you do. And obviously editing videos takes time as well, so it's definitely appreciated. And one of the questions we like to kind of ask everyone, with low code kind of gaining traction versus kind of there's a lot of this traditional development versus low code, traditional developers, not fans of low code. What would be your kind of message to those who are not open to it?
Well, in my company where I work for, we have different departments. I'm the local department. We also have the pro dev department as well. And I know that this is like a war going on, but I don't see that at our place. We work many times with each other because there are just solutions where are done better with pro code.
No?
And there are other solutions which maybe are not done better with low code, but are for the need of the customer. It makes more sense to go that way. So I think the two cooperate, and they are not like I'm better or you're better. I don't think that should be something like that. And also, if you see like 4 or 5 years ago, there were a lot of things in the low-code development that they were not possible, and now that's normal. Now that you can do it with Power Apps, with Power Automate, for example, and so that amount of stuff that you were not able to do is with low-code is getting even smaller and smaller. So yeah, I think there will. I'm not saying that something will replace something else, but it will be always the need of both. If you recall 10 years ago, when you even thought about creating like a new HR tool in the company, the programmers were getting nervous, not because they don't have the knowledge to do something like that, but because they don't have the people, the time, the money, and so on and so forth. And they knew that, okay, if that gets approved, we will have to do the work for much more people, and in a shorter time, and the solution will be, or the result will be sufficient or the bare minimum. And now with low code, I think also the pro code developers say, okay, take it over. I think it makes more sense to do it in low code because of the complexity. It's in a normal complex amount of complexity that it makes more sense to do it with low code, and it's faster. It's end product is also better. Why not?
And I guess both styles are trying to achieve the same goal.
Exactly, and I think we are getting along much better, I think, than before.
And I think they both have their place. I don't think one's trying to replace the other, or so I think that is always sometimes we'll sometimes speak to people for a role, for example, who's coming from traditional for a low code role, and they'll there's two styles. There's one style of no thank you, not interested, don't want to hear about it, and there's ones that are kind of okay, I can see how things are shifting anyway, with this kind of automation thing. So let's shift with the times. And even the people who are saying, okay, well, if nothing comes out of it, it's a skill I've learned. There's nothing wrong with learning new skills.
But the first part, the first type of people are getting even fewer and fewer, on my opinion, because as you can, if you see now, the low-code domain is also getting even more deeper and deeper. So the citizen developer would say high level, but if you want to build more complex tools with low code, you come on many occasions to a position or to a point where you need like bits of pro code. For example, in model-driven apps, you can also embed like plugins which need to be coded in C# and so on, which then you need a pro developer also, or for example in Power BI embedded, you also need a pro developer. So you can, the two are interacting more and more with time.
Yeah, that's great. And just a kind of final question, you've kind of, a lot's been going on. What's your kind of, future aspirations, plans, anything kind of, goals you set for yourselves? Maybe full-time YouTuber, who knows?
I don't see that happening. But one of my aspirations is to try to keep up with all the new stuff that's coming out and get even better, so that I can maybe continue do this work for a very long time. And another aspiration is, of course, continue to work with my YouTube channel, which has not received the commitment and attention that it needs due to personal stuff going on. But I hope that I can, or I hope that I will give it a little bit more attention in the future. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for taking the time to take part. I think it was really great to talk to you, and your overview of everything, and kind of really interesting to hear. I'll definitely do a shout out to your channel for sure, and keep following I think your early videos were in German, right? So I went to watch your early videos, so okay, I can't watch these ones. I'm gonna have to watch the later ones.
Good that to mention that, because when I started, I was too I was too motivated, and I tried, and my first videos were in German and in English.
Okay.
So I was recording the same video twice, cutting
wow.
it twice, and it was so much time going invest on that. And after like 3 videos or 4, I think I stopped. I think I will decide now either German or English, because that's just not maintainable.
I can imagine.
I switched to English then.
Amazing. Well, yeah, keep up the good work. And I think it was good to talk to you. I think, like I said to everyone, it might make sense in the future to speak again, to see kind of where things have gone. We discussed offline about you potentially doing a demo, which I think would be great. Which is something I think we should definitely do, put in the calendar to do. And you can kind of touch on each platform in a bit more detail, and we can share that out. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Take care. You too.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.